I'm sitting on a 535 Continental GT. That is an original 250 Continental GT. And over yonder, that is a Royal Enfield 650 Continental GT. Howdy y'all, Fuzzy Biker here, and look what I got today. I borrowed this from Baxter Cycle. They're just up the hill over yonder. This is a Royal Enfield Continental GT 535 right there. They only made them a handful of years. They are a very unique motorcycle. The solo seat, the elongated coffin type tank, the high clip-ons. The clip-ons are above the yoke instead of below them. It's got it's got real Brembo brakes. We'll get into that here in a minute. I can't say this word. Paoli shocks. These are all factory products. This bike came with those. This is a used machine with about I think it had 22,700 miles, 22,700 miles on it. But well, let's start with the engine. It's a single cylinder, 535cc, air cooled with 8.5 to 1 compression. It's fuel injected, which is really cool. Puts out about 29 horsepower and about 32.5 foot-pounds of torque, which is about 44 Newton meters. Something I learned about this, I've ridden these bikes before, but something I learned about these bikes in particular is that there are no valve adjustments on it. It's got hydraulic lifters, so you never have to have the valves adjusted. Just change the oil and do spark plugs and regular maintenance. But quite a deal, quite a deal. It's to my eye, it's a very good-looking motorcycle. It's certainly a purpose-built bike. A friend of mine calls them vestigial motorcycles. You know, they do one thing very well, and they don't. You know, they're not really necessary, but they sure are a lot of fun to have. Let's start with the forks. I think these are 41 millimeter forks. They've got front ones have got 410 millimeters of travel. Right here, that's about 4.3 inches. The rear, we've got these. Let's see if I can say that word again. Paoli piggyback shocks. Those have got about 80 millimeters of travel. That's about 3.1 inches. Now here's a really cool part. These are actual Brembo disc. Brembo brakes in the front. Isn't that neat? 300 millimeter disc on the front, 2 piston, floating disc, and it looks like a floating caliper. On the rear, he's got a 240 millimeter Brembo disc, single piston. Going on with this, it's got a 19-inch front tire, 90/90 front tire. That looks thicker than 90/90. I looked at this earlier. Well, anyway, kind of a really neat thing. The rear tire is a 120/80/18, and this bike is a brand new. They just got this bike in the other day, and they were just tuning it up. New oil change, brand new back tire. Looks like the chain is brand new too. Anyway, pretty nifty thing. Wheelbase is and I always love short wheelbase bikes, 53.9 inches. And I was riding it around town and doing all kinds of little tight turns with it, and it just handles that kind of stuff very well. That's 1,370 millimeters. Seat height, this beautiful single seat, isn't that just kind of a cool thing? I'd love to put a couple hundred miles on a bike like this. That's 31.5 inches. That's the same as my Himalayan. And that's about 800 millimeters. Wet weight on this bike, this is really cool. Wet weight, 412 pounds. That's 187 kilos. 412 pounds. I love light motorcycles, especially ones that are built to handle. And this one fills the role there. It's got a 3.8 gallon gas tank. That's 14.5 liters. And I love the look of this tank. Isn't that just gorgeous? Just a gorgeous thing. When they took the 500 single motor that they had, and what they did was they bored it out a little bit, they lightened the flywheel, they put a larger throttle body on it, and larger piston, of course, and that's where they got the extra horsepower, the 29 point something whatever horsepower. But just a beautiful thing, and it pulls. I mean, you can really feel the torque, and it really when you get going, it really comes into its own on the road. It's a little tricky at slow speeds, but it's very manageable. So let's look at the styling here. Just starting with the front. Just a gorgeous thing. I think the thing that jumps out at me immediately is, of course, the single cylinder engine, and then this tank. This beautiful Continental GT tank. You know, we got the, that Monza style opening, the red side covers, the red tail cone. I love the seat. I love it. You know, this whole look right through here. Look at that. Isn't that just beautiful? And of course, it's got these clip-on bars. Just a gorgeous thing. Tachometer. This one reads 5.5 for the red line. Very optimistic speedometer. Hey, that's interesting. The large numbers are kilometers. Very interesting. Good to know. Good to know. Anyway, just a beautiful thing. This bike has a side stand and a kickstand. The other thing that I should always mention about this is a maybe I mentioned it already. Harris Performance frame. Harris Performance is a company in England and the United Kingdom. I think it's in England. And they produced all kinds of racing accessories, racing frames, all kinds of things like that. Royal Enfield hired them to build a frame for this bike, and they did so well, they loved it so much that they actually bought the company. And Royal Enfield has used that company to build other frames. I think the 650 Continental GT has a Harris frame on it, and the things, you know, other things like that. Just very well done. But look at the detail here. Just, you know, beautiful spoke wheels, the bottom frame, the engine hanging in there, you know. I mean, it's just, I love the color, you know, differences here. The gold reservoir, the, you know, look at the pipe. I think that's stock. And by the way, it makes a very interesting, very throaty sound, a very thumperish sound. Looking back at this case over here, look at this. I love the wing, Royal Enfield. I don't know if that's a wing or a feather. I'm going to call it a wing today. Next time we'll call it a feather. Electric start and kickstart. And I've kickstarted these before. They usually start right up, which is really amazing. You know, they're just a lot of fun. This is a very fun, very interesting motorcycle. And if you ever get a chance to ride one, and if you want to ride one, go to Baxter Cycle, you can ride this one. If you ever get a chance to ride one, do it. Just a whole bunch of fun. By the way, dual horns. I don't know why I like dual horns, but I love the way they sound. You know, you get that twin tone. Just a gorgeous machine. And guys, you know the deal. I'm Fuzzy Biker, and I got to go take that hot rod for a run. Wahoo! Let's go. Can you all hear that thumping? You can kind of see it. Look at the blinkers. It smooths out as it goes. Something real quick. It's got a neutral light, a battery light, engine light, the blinkers left and right. There's right, there's left. A neat little Royal Enfield symbol. It's got a digital fuel gauge. Here you can do trip 1, trip 2, they call it trip A, trip B. Odometer, which is 22,721 miles. But that's very good, isn't it? Let's reset that. We're resetting trip A to 0. It's got a beautiful sound, beautiful sound. All right, let's go see what she does. Wahoo! Oh, the torque feels great. That there on our left is Baxter Cycle in Marnie, Iowa, home of new and used Triumph and Royal Enfields and any other kind of British bike you might think of. They've got a vintage room that is just amazing. If you ever get a chance to get to Marnie, Iowa, it's off exit 51 on Highway Interstate 80. Get down there and check it out. Let's see what she does for turning here. This is oh yeah, very good, very tight. I like it. I like it. I love it. Feel the pull. Very, very nice. The owner of this bike was very proud. I talked to him a couple of days ago, and he said as it ran, as it got miles, as he built miles on the bike, it actually ran better in his mind. He really loved it. He is an owner of several Royal Enfields. Several high mileage Royal Enfields, I might add. Smooth out as you go. I'm sitting back. My toes are probably behind my knees, I'm guessing. Yeah, I would say they are. I'm leaned forward quite a bit, reaching down to the bars. I'm not in a full lay down like that, but it's you're pretty far down there. I think that's kilometers, so 100 kilometers. Something interesting about this bike is I think the new Scram 411 kind of handles like this in some ways. This is the kind of motorcycle I would love to spend a day in the Loess Hills, just tooling around those nice 2-lane blacktops, curvy, twisty, up and downy. This bike would do that very well. You'd feel like a GT driver the whole time. After all, you'd be in a Continental GT. I think these top out at about 85, maybe 90 miles an hour. Y'all out there, any of y'all have one of these, chime in and let us know what you've had yours up to. Okay, we are closing in on Iowa's busiest intersection. There it is. Let's see what we find here today. Oh my gosh, this is called an Iowa traffic jam. Cars everywhere. Well, a truck anyway. I love the way this thing handles. I just love it. There's another car coming. One over there. The sitting position is, I'm an old guy, and you kind of feel like a race bike rider, although I know it's not that aggressive. It looks like it. We're not going to redline it, but we'll go close. What a beautiful thing. What a beautiful thing. I really wish they would bring these back. I know we've got the beautiful Continental 650 GT, which is an absolutely wonderful bike. It's lower to the ground. It's got more power. Just a gorgeous thing. But it would be nice to have something like this, you know, a light, super lightweight, great handling, smaller displacement motorcycle. You know, they've got that new, like I said, that new Scram 411. That kind of fits the role. The motor isn't quite as robust as this one is. It'd be neat if they could make one in a higher displacement or something with more pull, something more like this, more road oriented, you know, cafe type. The Scram is pretty close. Okay, let's talk about the riding experience as far as the vibration and stuff goes. The handlebars do vibrate quite a bit, a little bit, more than you'd expect. Next, I'd say you feel it in the foot pegs, and then in the bottom, in the seat. It's not terrible. I'm from the era of the old two-strokes and the old, you know, the 70s era bikes, 60s and 70s era, so compared to those, this is very smooth. This is a very nostalgic riding machine. Great day for a motorcycle ride. We're at the end of September. It's about 90-some degrees. Just a beautiful day for a ride on this kind of a road. If you're enjoying the video, please hit subscribe, hit like, helps us a lot. I appreciate that. We are now entering the mighty Minitropolis of Marne, Iowa, home of Baxter Cycle, sellers of new and used Triumphs and Royal Enfields, and all kinds of vintage British motorcycles. That is the Derailleur Grill. That's actually a pretty good place to eat. Anyway, let's see how this thing does here. Nice tight turn going up a hill. Wahoo! I like it. I like it a lot. And it pulls. It pulls like mad. Love it. Love it. Look at that. Just very nimble turning. I love it. I love it. And the sound is tremendous. There it is, Baxter's. I'm playing. There's Randy Baxter himself. Probably wondering what I'm doing with his motorcycles. Oh, this thing's a hoot. A hoot. Okay, you guys. Let's see what we got here. Okay, look at this. Okay, I'm sitting on a 535 Continental GT. That is an original 250 Continental GT. And over yonder, that is a Royal Enfield 650 Continental GT. We've got them all right here, guys. Isn't that just a gorgeous look? Anyway, if you're interested in something like this, get the Baxter Cycle and tell them that Fuzzy Biker sent you. Look at that beautiful bike. Isn't that neat? Okay, guys, life's short. Get out there and ride. Wahoo! There's the original Royal Enfield GT 250 Continental. The Royal Enfield 535 Continental GT. And the latest one, the Continental GT 650. Absolutely gorgeous bikes. Look at those tanks. See the heritage? Just a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing.